Welcome to Insight Lens, the channel that exposes the hidden truths of politics and economics shaping our world. If you find this content valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments where and when are you watching from. Overnight, taxes soared 250%, and fury erupted like a dormant volcano awakened. In August 2025, residents of Pati, Central Java, woke up to shocking news. Property and land taxes had suddenly jumped by 250%. A modest plot that once required just a few million rupiah a year now demanded 3 times more, crushing farmers, shopkeepers, and struggling families already on the edge of survival. This wasn't just a policy adjustment. For many, it felt like an economic death sentence. Panic turned into resolve, and resolve turned into anger. What began with thousands soon swelled into hundreds of thousands of people pouring into the streets across Central Java. And then came the spark that turned anger into an inferno. The government quietly approved a housing allowance of 3,000 USD per month for members of parliament. Set against Jakarta's 2025 minimum wage of just 350 USD, the perk was nearly 10 times a worker's monthly pay. To the people, this wasn't just financial injustice, it was political arrogance. While families were crammed into slums, lawmakers were celebrating new luxury apartments. While citizens were forced to count every rupiah for taxes, politicians were lining their pockets with state-funded privilege. Social media only fanned the flames. Videos of officials laughing, dancing, and raising glasses after the policy's approval spread like wildfire. To ordinary Indonesians, those images landed like a slap across the nation's dignity. One night of soaring taxes, one reckless perk, and Indonesia was thrust into its fiercest political storm in years. When an innocent life was crushed under armored steel, outrage crossed the line from protest to moral uprising. Jakarta's streets, once bustling with commerce, were transformed into war zones. Riot police unleashed batons and tear gas, trying to beat back the swelling crowds, but the fury would not be contained. Then tragedy struck, and it changed everything. A young delivery driver, just trying to finish his shift, was caught in the chaos. He was not a protester, not part of the chants or the clashes. Yet as an armored vehicle rolled through the streets, it ran him over and killed him instantly. The image of a hard-working, innocent man crushed by the very forces meant to protect the public became the symbol of the movement. It was no longer just about taxes or allowances. It was about a system that placed power above people and impunity above justice. The crowd's grief turned into raw fury. Streets were engulfed in flames. The private home of the finance minister was stormed, ransacked, stripped bare of everything, from televisions and cars to even bathroom fixtures. Other politicians soon became targets of mob anger, their cars smashed, their estates vandalized. The chaos reached such a fever pitch that President Prabowo Subianto was forced to cancel a state visit to China. He rushed back to Jakarta, pledging to revoke the $3,000 housing allowance and promising swift punishment for the officers responsible for the armored vehicle death. But the damage was already done. To the public, these actions felt like too little, too late. When blood was spilled on the asphalt, Indonesians no longer saw protests. They saw justice denied and a regime losing its grip. When the law itself was bent to fit a family's heir, democracy bent with it, and faith in justice collapsed. The crisis that erupted in 2025 was not born overnight. Its roots lay in February 14, 2024, Indonesia's presidential election. The winner was Prabowo Subianto, a veteran general and political heavyweight. But the spotlight fell not on him, but on his running mate, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, the eldest son of outgoing President Joko Widodo. At the time, Gibran was only 36 years old. Indonesia's constitution was clear: candidates for vice president must be at least 40. By law, he should have been disqualified. Yet weeks before the election, the Constitutional Court issued a stunning ruling. Anyone who had served as a local leader could run for vice president at 35 or older. And as if by coincidence, Gibran was then the mayor of Surakarta. With that single stroke, the barrier vanished. Gibran's candidacy was suddenly legal. And with Prabowo's victory, he became the youngest vice president in Indonesia's history. To many Indonesians, this was not a triumph of youthful leadership, it was a betrayal. They saw a court twisting the constitution to serve one family's dynasty. Their suspicion deepened when it emerged that the Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court, Anwar Usman, was Jokowi's own brother-in-law. He was later stripped of his post for ethical violations, but the damage had been done. Across campuses, civil society groups, and independent legal associations, outrage spread. Students marched, lawyers condemned, and commentators declared openly, the law has been bent into a family contract. Corruption in Indonesia is not hidden in shadows. It flaunts itself in Rolexes, supercars, and private jets. The fury on Indonesia's streets was not just about taxes or dynastic power. It was about something far deeper, the everyday theater of corruption played out in the open. Take Syahrul Yassin Limpo, the former agriculture minister. Convicted of extorting funds from his own ministry, he was sentenced to 12 years in prison. His downfall exposed how billions meant for farmers had been siphoned into the pockets of elites. Or Edhi Prabowo, once the powerful fisheries minister, who fell in the infamous lobster seed export scandal. He accepted bribes, splurged on luxury watches and designer bags, and was handed a prison sentence that stretched up to 9 years. And then came the scandal that shook the nation's conscience. Rafael Alun Trisambodo, a senior tax official whose unexplained fortune unraveled after his son, Mario Dandi, brutally assaulted a teenager. Investigators discovered luxury cars, mansions, and bank accounts dwarfing his government salary. Rafael received 14 years in prison, Mario 12 years. Social media became the mirror of injustice. While millions of Indonesians scraped by on meager wages, they scrolled through feeds flooded with images of officials' children racing Rubicons and Lamborghinis, flashing Rolex watches worth tens of thousands, boarding private jets for holidays in Bali. It wasn't simply corruption, it was corruption paraded. Every post, every luxury selfie felt like a deliberate slap across the face of the struggling majority. When power not only steals, but flaunts its spoils, the people's patience doesn't just wear thin, it erupts into fury. Budgets can be revised, but once trust is broken, no ledger can repair it. In the aftermath of flames and fury, the government tried to calm the storm. Officials insisted they weren't cutting $44 billion from the budget, as rumors claimed, but merely reallocating around $19 billion USD to improve efficiency. Yet the details told a harsher truth. Education funding, once around $44 billion USD, was reduced to roughly $41 billion. That meant nearly $3 billion vanished from classrooms, scholarships, and laboratories, money that represented children's futures, not just numbers in an account. To the public, it was hypocrisy laid bare. Why should schools tighten their belts while lawmakers collected perks worth 10 times a worker's salary? Why should hospitals endure shortages while politicians flew on private jets?
Street conversations, campus debates, and online forums echoed with bitterness. We sacrifice our children's future so they can buy another Rolex? The wound was not financial alone. It was moral. It revealed a government willing to squeeze the powerless while shielding the privileged. The flames on Jakarta's streets eventually dimmed, but the fire inside the public's faith still burned, leaving scars that no policy reversal could erase. Wrap up. Budgets may balance on paper, but legitimacy cannot. Once broken, trust becomes the rarest currency of all.
Indonesia's turmoil is not just about one country. It is a warning to every democracy. From sudden tax hikes to lavish perks, from a court bending the Constitution to dynasties seizing power, and from luxury scandals to broken promises of reform, Indonesia's crisis is a mirror reflecting a larger truth. When leaders treat laws as tools for their families, when corruption is flaunted instead of hidden, and when sacrifices are demanded only from the poor, democracy begins to wither. The system may survive on paper, but the soul of governance, public trust, bleeds away. Indonesia's story is not unique. It is a reminder that no nation, no matter how proud its institutions, is immune when privilege eclipses principle. The people can carry the ship of state, but they can also turn it over when leaders mistake patience for weakness. This was Insight Lens. If you found value in today's deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share so more people can see the forces shaping our world. Until next time, gavel.